All right, guys, welcome back to the Sean Fontana podcast. Today is the Christmas edition, hence the lovely Christmas tree, not decorated by me, but the missus, because she's got that creative touch, and I stole her jumper as well. So I'm wearing a Christmas jumper, not the Fontana Fit logo today. I'm not repping the brand. And this podcast today, I've got a very special guest, great friend, great athlete, Mr. Josh Trigwell. How you doing, mate?
Very well, mate. How you doing?
All good, can't complain, get a roof over my head, get, water and food in my belly, and got to be grateful for the small things. And then also, always special guest.
Nice. Very nice, mate. Very nice. Like that.
My wee boy.
Nice, mate. Good stuff.
So how have you been? We're now in lockdown 3.0, and I think, lockdown 1, the first one kind of, it took us by surprise. We all thought that this thing was just a flash in the pan. It was going to be coming along for maybe a month or two, and then we'd see the end of it. Mm-hmm. Then we get out of lockdown. The first one, we start generating momentum. We start getting a bit more positive. We feel that we're combating it. We're getting somewhere. Mm-hmm. Second one hits, and it's kind of like a Mike Tyson punch to the solar plexus, and kind of takes a wind out our sails. And I don't know about yourself, but I've saw from a lot of people in the gym where some people haven't came back because they got themselves to a good place mentally and physically before lockdown 2, and they don't want to go. They're just like, I can't face coming back from the start again and working my way back up. And I just hope that, people just stay strong and try and stay positive and try and, just appreciate and keep perspective and be grateful for what they have. Because this lockdown 3 is probably going to be, it's going to be a tough one again. How have you coped through all these, and as well as just the tumultuous year of 2020?
I think the first lockdown was obviously a shock to the system. And I think a lot of people thought this would be like a 3 or 4 week lockdown, go back to see loved ones and just get through it. And then obviously it got longer and longer and longer. And I guess with lockdown 3.0, as you put it, it's having, I think this could have the biggest impact on people's mental health, I strongly feel. How I got through the first one is just, firstly, I just took a step back and just evaluate the whole situation for myself. I was going through a bit of a rough time due to external things at the time, so it was like a double whammy. And so for me, it became just a case of what can I control in my environment? What can I do that can make me feel better? Forget about what is going on in the world, forget about everyone's ideas on the whole experience. What can I do for myself that's going to bring me a positive factor back into my everyday cycle? And so for me, it quickly fell back into running. And talking to Craig, who's obviously my coach, I said, look, I'm just going to go and do my own thing for a little bit. I think I just need to do some sessions that give me confidence. I need to do sessions that I get excited about, and just gave myself goals all the time. So every 4 weeks, I'll do a time trial at a certain location. So throughout the first lockdown, I was just setting myself goals every 4 weeks and making sure that I had a purpose to get up in the morning to go train. Yeah. And I knew that through that, eventually it would get me through the lockdown. And then by the time I come out of lockdown, I'm feeling fit, I'm feeling healthy. And then obviously with this lockdown happening again, you're like, okay, you got to look back, reflect, pause, and then just, again, reevaluate the situation. Obviously now, like I said to you before this podcast, I can't go home now for Christmas. And with my latest Instagram post, my mum and stuff, it's a rough time. And for me, it's like, well, I cannot control the environment. Again, like I said 2 minutes ago, I can't control what's happening in the world. All I can control is my emotional state and what I can do to make it better. And so it's going to fall back onto running again and just apply myself in that way, and obviously to work with my athletes as well. So, yeah, tough.
Some key things that the first one was that you said you paused.
Yeah.
I think that, stillness from, like Ryan Holiday, the book Stillness is Key. And I think you've also read Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday.
I haven't actually, no.
No, I remember you posting about that on Instagram about, ego is the enemy. So I thought you might have read that book. But pausing instead of, I don't know about yourself, but I feel that society now there is no, when there's a dead time and people are alone with their thoughts, they have to fill it up with content from social media, from Facebook, from Instagram, from the TV, from the news, from Netflix to Amazon Prime, whatever it may be. That they don't actually pause and get inside their head and understand how they're feeling and unravel their thoughts to then, how do I now execute on a plan that will help me become a better version of myself tomorrow than I was today. And I feel that, you touched on your clients and your runners and how you're emotionally invested in helping them get better. Your Instagram as well. What is it, at JR?
At JR Run Coach. JRT Run Coach.
At JRT Run Coach. Strongly recommend you go and check his page, because it's always full of things that, say you're having, a bad day, or you're feeling super down, or just the world's getting too much for you. It's when you go into either Josh's Instagram feed or his stories, there's always something there to help you just regain clarity, regain perspective, and be a bit grateful for the things that you do have at this moment in time around you, instead of always thinking about the future of maybe what you want to have or what you don't have and that you want into your life, but actually just taking time to look right now in the present. I think his Instagram and what you're doing there with everybody is phenomenal, and hence why it's growing really fast. I see those numbers going up really quick, mate. So, and that's credit to your content and your value that you're providing for not just your clients, but just you're trying to just touch everybody.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I'm not using Instagram as a platform where I have to put content out like every single day. I said to on my story a few weeks ago, like I'm only going to post a caption, and I always write down like my captions in my diary. Like I probably write it out, pen, pencil, and really get into it. Put on like Hans Zimmer music and just really invest like a couple of hours into it, because, like you said, Instagram is, I think on the whole, can be a very dark place for many people. There's so much fakeness, and so if I can bring 0.1% of me, open up my heart to you and just saying, look, I'm struggling, or look, from this experience, I learned to deal with things in this manner. Now, when you mentioned me about pausing, I feel at the point now, I'm at 27 years of age, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I feel the most present I've ever been, and I feel completely headstrong. I feel as if anyone, I say this to my housemates, said, if anyone was to throw anything at me right now in life, I could handle it. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna take action like that, like rock the cuff. If you gave me like a thing I had to deal with, I'd be like, right, I'm just gonna pause for a sec, think about it deeply, and then make my move. And I think with Instagram, there's so much content out there. And like I said, you put fantastic content out there with the running stuff, and I know there's other online coaches do that. People don't need to see that on my page. I'm trying to offer, and I'm not saying like, you'll do it this way and I'll do it this way. It's a case of like, you're pumping in fantastic content on your page, and I just want to give something like a different direction to it. So then people can look on your page, okay, that's really useful. Go onto my page, oh, that's useful as well. If I put those two things together, then I've learned something from two fantastic people who've learned from experience. Do you know what I mean? So we're trying to benefit people in the same way. I just had to do it on a more mental level and from my own experience. Whereas, and I know you've done it plenty of times, and I want to ask you questions about, with some of your videos where you open up so much. And I think for me, it's just so much respect to you, that, because a lot of people, Sean, I don't think would open up the way you do. And I think that just shows credit to you to be able to do it. People seek external validation all the time. And you're someone who just you don't need that. You're very secure in one way, I feel. But then I think, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think you're insecure in another way in terms of training purposes.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like it's a weird, I don't know how to explain it. I need to think about it more. But I look at you and I think that's a man there who is so secure in himself. He can handle any situation, but he's insecure in the running world. But I can't put my finger on what it is that you're insecure about.
Yeah. No, like, mate, and I think, like, so what? I mean, you hit the nail on the head with everything that you said in terms of the reason I think the reason I'm insecure is probably back to, I genuinely don't believe that I am. I'm definitely not talented. That's the first thing. In terms of physically, I'm probably like, where you would see like the two most beautiful athletes I've ever watched run in front of my eyes. Well, in three, one that I don't know and two that I do know is yourself and Andrew Asagi.
Oh, mate, thank you, mate.
And I go at that and I go, see if I could run like that. Oh, that would be phenomenal. They just look so effortless. I look as if even if I'm on road, I'm traipsing through sand because I'm being followed, and if I'm sniffing bums because I'm that far forward. And then Matthew Centrowitz, when I saw him down in St Mary's at Terrington, and he was running like, I think he was doing like 8.400s or something. I looked. I didn't want to know the time. I just looked and I said, that's probably about 60 seconds that, and it was 52 and a half. And I just went. I was like, no, like, because it was Steve Skinner was at the side, the pace and timing and showed, and I went, that is, nah. I just went, that is unreal, like how smooth he looks at that pace, and then sort of like Evan Yeager and things like that, like beautiful running style. So I look at that and I go, that's talent. And then I look at, say, the speed, the closing speed of some athletes. Somebody like who actually made me want to move down to Terrington, and we crossed paths because of that, was Ross Murray. I thought that guy was unbelievable as well. Like, just the ability to, go from where he was as a junior to where he went as a senior athlete and getting to the Olympics in 2012. I was just like, this guy is phenomenal. But I think the first one is that I'm insecure. So I train hard because I'm insecure about my talent. I feel like everybody's more talented than me. But I'm insecure also because I put myself into the struggles to see if I can do it. And then when you go there and so starting your own business, and still not letting go of it during COVID when, the financial struggles are boom, boom, boom. It's easy to just pull the plug on it and go, oh, I'm just going to, I'm going to work a 9-5, or I'm going to, be an Amazon delivery driver, something easy, just, I want an easy life now. This is getting too stressful. But I'm jumping about my house like a blue ass fly, doing lunge jumps, burpees, squat jumps, with my online clients, and I'm still trying, I'm still pushing, I'm trying to push the boundaries of how much can Sean Fontana do? Like, where's the breaking point? So if I keep pushing and I keep pushing, I'm always going to be like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, and that creates an insecurity. But I need to, when I go in through something I've never done before, I need to put myself in things that I've never done before to then gain the security to understand, well, I'm stronger than, actually, you know what, I can do that. Like the same way when back, one of my thing was I couldn't, I felt like I couldn't compete at a top level, but then, come 2015, I'm knocking on the door for a Great Britain vest. And we can probably go into that race as well, because you had to go and pick up my numbers for that race. Because, so like, my insecurities have driven me to push the boundaries and be strong to help me keep going. Whereas I think people look at the insecurities and the boundaries and think, actually, do you know what? That's a roadblock. I'm just going to turn back from here, and I'm not going to go and see what's on the other side of that. But I also,
so would you say that? So I say to my lot, find failure. But would you almost say that you're trying to avoid failure because that's insecurity for you?
No,
or you trying to find it as well?
I'm going to see. So if I look at something like, so say when I was in Glasgow as an 18-year-old boy and said, I'm going to go down to London and be a personal trainer and train with Team GB.
Yeah.
My mum's going, Sean, don't be that. I said, my mum said, the words were, Sean, you can't even turn up on time to a 4-hour shift on a Sunday at Boots the Chemist. Yeah. You still turn up late, 12 till 4. You still turn up at 12:30, and you think you're going to run a business down in London. So looking at that massive task, can I do that? I think I can. What if I could? Let's go and try. And if I fail, that's like, who cares? But I've got to I have to see what's on the other side of that. So what makes me a wee bit scared or a wee bit, nervous or anxious, I've actually got to see what's on the other side of that. And usually more often than not, when there's sometimes, like America blew up again. I dropped my business. I dropped Fontana Fit. I moved away from all you guys in Teddington. I moved away from a success network that brought me a massive, more than I could ever hope for in terms of performance. And I got moved to Colorado with my wife. Told her to leave. So I seek it. I understand that it's there, but I'll jump in and I'll see if, do you know what, this, I'm not gonna go to this roadblock and then turn back. I'm gonna see if I can plough through this roadblock. And sometimes, I've ran at it and I've bounced off it. I've failed miserably, but then I get back up, and sometimes I might find another way to either, instead of going through it, I go over it or I go around it, whatever. But I've always seeked out things that I found difficult, or things that actually make me scared, or things that will create anxiety for me.
Yeah. Jumping at both feet and go, all right, what can you bring me today, sort of thing.
Yeah, like I made Caroline buy me skydiving, like a skydive, because I scared the heights. And
that sums you up on so many levels.
I need to see if I'm stronger than my insecurities. I need to see it. I need to see if I'm a beast. More often than not, I'll fail, because sometimes you set it too high and you just literally you just don't quite get it. But again, you just dust yourself off. It doesn't mean.
But where do you find contentment then? Where does Sean then find contentment? Where what, I've dived into into areas where I could fail, or I'm very scared of these situations. When does Sean Fontana feel content? Like, is there going to can you sit in your armchair at 65 years of age and be like, you know what, I'm content with life right now. I don't need to keep pushing or trying to identify this area that I'm weak at. Like, where's the end point for you, or is there an end point?
I'm gonna say short answer, no.
Yeah.
And my wife knows that as well. Like, that's why.
Searching for highs then? Are you searching for highs all the time?
Yeah, and that could be a drug. That could be obsession. Like, the next thing I'm looking, like, my wife tells me, like the other day I was thinking, because lockdowns happen, I'm going, how about I see my clients, I'll start a meal prep company for my clients, and what I'll do is I'll prep all their meals and I'll deliver it to them around their house. And she's going, Sean, like, 1 minute you're doing your personal training, you're doing your online coaching, you're also doing your classes online with like 45 clients, you're out trying to train up for the Commonwealth Games marathon, and you're doing your podcast. Now you want to be a meal prepper, and then you're thinking about you've just finished your bachelor's and you now want to do your master's in physiotherapy. I'm like, what I think motivates me is I'm going to go 6 feet under soon. At one point in my life, I'm going to go, everybody is, we're all going to go to the same place. I'll rest when I'm dead.
Yeah.
And I'll keep pushing. And I need to, when I was younger and I'd done the whole American thing and just ups, my wife and me, and we just went, America, and it was kind of thoughtless. It was kind of thoughtless. I didn't really think it through properly, because from 18, 19 years old, my dream was always to be an NCAA athlete. Like, you just watch Flow Track as a kid and you're just like, I want to go Peyton Jordan, I want to go Stanford, I want to race all these top guys. And I won't necessarily do that anymore in terms of mindlessly go about my business, because I've got my wife to think about and things like that a bit more now. Just turning 30 years of age, need to make sure that with a mortgage and stuff, it's the things have to be more methodical, but still I will always keep seeking. And it keeps life entertaining. Do you not think? Like, see, when you're seeking greatness, you've always got something to talk about.
You have, yeah, always. I was going to say though, like, was it 2015 at Highgate when you ran low 29?
Yeah.
Was that 2015?
Yeah.
I thought then, I remember coming to that race and watching you, and I thought, it's happening now. Like, that this is your time to shine.
Yeah.
And I don't like to say, I don't want you to look back on that and think now, like, yeah, it was my time. So I'm saying, it's there, like, you did it. And there's definitely more in the tank. But then you made the decision to go to America, which I remember being in the gym with you, and I was like, mate, I don't know, like, you seem quite happy, like, like, your wife's happy, you buy Strawberry Hill Station, you got me, you've got all the lads, you've got some of the girls there as well to push you on. You're like, man, I got to do it. And I remember, like, in the back of my head, because your business was going, like, as it is now, going really well back then, because you just grafted so much to get to that point. And I remember just saying, just a few times to her, like, look, everything's going well at the moment. Why do you want to like change? And I think like you're just seeking that next high, and it's like, and then obviously we lost contact for a little bit, and then I hear you moved back, you changed to a different college somewhere, and then you came back to Scotland, and I was like, damn, like, but you say you're 30 now, like that's young, like all you need is a good 4-year cycle for the Olympics, and you're buzzing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
all that's in the tank already. All that, you know, that 29 low, that 14-minute low 5K, which you know for a fact you can get into that 30 and 40 bracket for sure within a good 18 months of solid training in your belt, and definitely a sub 29-minute for sure. Like, you know, it's there in the tank. You just need 4 years of good training, it's consistent, no injuries, and you'll be absolutely flying. Like, age shouldn't be a factor in your back of your mind at all,
yeah.
I think.
I think America, the young collegiates there, like when they come out of high school and they come into the college system, that I think, you know, they would always say, you know, they would always call me like, "All right, Dad, how you doing?" "All
Oh
right,
man,
Dad," and like, "Oh, like you're a freshman? Shit, you're a freshman at what, 24 years old? Like, holy shit! Like, I hope I've got a job and you know, I've got. How have you not got things figured out by now?" And I'd be like, right, hold the phone. I said, I think I've just done this in reverse where, you know, at 18, I had my business
yeah,
and I thought, like, that is amazing. But, you know, also my dreams, you know, I've got a limited time to achieve these dreams. I said,
yeah,
so I've came back in and I want to, you know, try and see if I can achieve these. I said, you know, you're just starting out. I said, I've started. The working world, I feel, is easier than the collegiate athlete world, I say, like, because they're all scared about going into work. And I'm going, work's amazing. Like your
yeah,
bank account's always right up here, but when you're a student athlete, your bank account's all the way down here. You're stressing out your box. You're in debt. And I said, this is hard. This is really like flying to Florida, Miami, Washington, California. That sounds amazing. But see, when
yeah,
you've got papers due for every single class, and you're having to do them on the plane and connect and pay like I think it was like $20 for the Wi-Fi in the plane, so you could connect your laptop and do your and send it through Blackboard. You're just like you're so like nervous sweat like coming like out your pores when you're on the plane. Just it was quite stressful. So you know, I think that when those kids would always refer back to like I was one of the oldest in the team. I was one of the oldest in the team. I think that's kind of now got my in the subconscious part of my head that age thing. Just it's just like tick, tick, tick.
yeah.
And I need to, and the fact that you've identified that with me, I think, and now I've openly said it,
Mm.
hopefully I can do something about it because I can realise that.
I honestly think it's nonsense to think that I'm getting older. Like, I mean, like for me, I'm 27. I know for a fact that I'm a late bloomer.
Right?
My best years are still way ahead of me. Like, I don't think I'll be reaching peak until I'm about 33, 34.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, Nick Willis is a perfect example, and Owen Pearce. Do you know Owen Pearce? Irish lad. So I live with Owen, who's now, you know, he's 31 years of age. Been running since he was about 8 or 9. I trained with him. Like since you left, he came and started training with me.
Yeah.
And he was like a 352 guy over the 1500 for years. Couldn't break it. Then gets to 31, runs 342, becomes Irish indoor champ in the 1500, and he's one of like the biggest names in Irish athletics.
Right.
And it's just like with age, and all he's done is be consistent and just allow time and just nature
Yeah.
to just take its journey, and now he's absolutely flying. Like, and he's putting everyone to bed, like in training and we're all doing racing. Like, he's very similar to you in terms of just absolutely relentless. I said this in a podcast to a lady named Natalie, who I did a podcast with, and I said Owen's just relentless. Like, it's just unbelievable. And so going back onto the factor of age, like, yeah, he's a perfect example of age is, you know, you shouldn't be thinking about that, you know.
Yeah.
Think about where you are now, like, you know, you're 30 years of age. Okay, good. You have a bit of an injury still, right?
Yeah. You know, this one got me. This one got me worse than the first one because I knew the first one, posterior tibialis, I was pushing towards marathon mileage very, very quick. But then the second time, I actually, you know, capped my mileage to like 75, 80 miles a week. And I slowly built up there, 3 weeks on, 1 week down,
Yeah.
making sure I wasn't going too hard in training sessions. And it went from my left foot into my right foot. And I just was like,
Because right now, sorry to interrupt. Like right now, you know what I used to be like. I'd try and hit 90 miles of you or 80 miles.
mhm,
Since the first lockdown, I've hit no more than 70 miles a week, and currently I'm only on about 50 miles a week because in my head right now, there's no races going on, and I can't see any of them happening soon.
Yeah.
I've cut down to only running 5 days a week, so I take 2 days off a week at the moment, Monday and Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
All I do is, the way I look at it right now, I'm looking at the bigger picture. So I'm putting in big tempo sessions. So I meant to do a tempo yesterday, 12-mile tempo, but I had a bit of lower back pain, so I just cut it at 5 miles, and I'll go back to it Tuesday. But I started at 6-mile tempo, and we're getting up to about 14-mile tempo, so we increase about a mile each week. And then we do a hard interval session on the roads where I try to get in. I do it solo, so I get about 60 minutes of volume in. I do like 4 by 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minute, or 3 times 8, 4, 8, 6, 4, 2 sort of stuff. Just getting loads of volume on my session days. And then on my easy days, I'm running like 13 miles in one run, not breaking 720s. I'm feeling fresh. Now, the way I look at it, you might disagree, but the way I look at my training right now, I'm like, I have no idea when race is going to happen, right? So if I can just get in now, I've done this since about October now. October, November, December, January, February. If I get to like April, May time, and I've got no injuries, no illnesses, been consistently running 55 miles a week, and I've been hitting like 15-mile tempos at 520s, and they're feeling smooth, my heart rate's dropping every session. I'm doing big volume on the roads.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't hit a 10 out of 10 effort in training for quite a while, which I know with you I did quite a lot, and I've learned from that. But actually, I just need to pull back a little bit. And I tell you what, my hunger to get out the door for a run now is it's just incredible. Like, I'm so desperate to go out for a run. I love it, absolutely love it. I've got that feeling back with the fire. And I remember this quote you said to me, and I've never ever left, and I've used it so many times, Sean. You said it's like adding coal to the fire. And right now, like, me on my rest days is adding coal to the fire. So I'm so like then motivated to get out the next day and just smash a good session.
Yeah.
That's where I look at it at the moment.
And that's like what you've just said there as well. I think a lot of listeners should take note of the fact that, I think a lot of people who will be listening to this podcast, they want to go out and constantly smash the same amount of mileage as if it was they're gearing up for a race or they're gearing up for a season. And what you've just said is we're in a weird time where we are not gearing up. One day we will be gearing up for racing again. Race season will commence, fingers crossed, hopefully, in the near future. But like you've just, what's the point? And now, like, I'm going, I'm nodding my head, and you're going, aye, that makes sense. That makes sense. Why even like, what is the point sometimes in going 80 miles a week if you know you're going to get injured? If you know it's going to heighten your injury?
You've been smart about it though. So like the sessions are big, and my Sunday long runs are big. So I started at 12 miles on the Sundays, and I'm getting up to 22 miles. So when I hit 22 mile in about a couple of weeks, I'm going to start the process all over again, back to 12 miles, and then just do it again.
Will you just but that 12 miles on your next block will just maybe be a wee bit average faster than the first?
Yeah, I mean, on a physiological level, yeah, it should be. I should be able to run a little bit quicker, my heart rate a little bit lower.
Yeah.
But in the end, Sean, I just look at it as like, all right, next block of training, and just do it all over again.
Yeah.
So my body's getting a little bit of a break, and it's just, I've literally, Sean, gone straight back to basics. I've learned from great coaches, I learned from great athletes, like yourself, and I'm just taking it fully on board and just trying to keep running as simple as possible for now.
Yeah.
And what I'm finding for it is actually my enjoyment factor's gone through the roof, and I'm falling into that flow state philosophy that I bang on about a lot.
Yeah.
And I do for myself, and it's just working absolute charm. And I say now at 27 years of age, like, and I mentioned about how I'm the happiest I've ever been.
That's good.
My social life's great, but also like running is just, I'm so happy with it at the moment because I feel so fit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I want to be in a race situation, but physically speaking, aerobically speaking, my engine feels absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a good place to be, and to know that we've got another 4 or 5 months till the summer track season would commence.
Yeah.
And if it was a 10K high gate, I'd be like, yep, sign me up. I'll be down for that.
Yeah.
So that's where I look at it, and I think you could benefit from that as well, because I know like I feel like you need someone like Luke, like, to live next door to you, and just to be like, how you on the lead, or just me to, and just hold you back, be like, Sean, like, ego, mate, ego, chill, like, relax, leave it at the door today. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. Back in the day, ego controlled me. But now I think it's when we talk about time and we talk about, try to get back to where I once was. I don't know if that's ego or that's insecurity.
Yeah.
I don't know if ego is insecurity, but I know that what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do it from a good place, and not get there to showboat to anybody else now, because I'm like, you know that environment. I think that was quite a toxic environment for me in the NCAA, where all of us were racing each other in training, like who was at the front, who had the biggest dick, just trying to strut their stuff and try and be at the front, whether it was a pre-meet race, pre-race training session of 200s. Somebody had to go to the front and run a 26 or 25-second last 200, just to, yeah. And when you're just in that and you just get consumed by it, and then I didn't perform. I did not perform at all. When I was in Terrington with yourself, Vernon, I think, and then we. So I feel like me and you are back in 2014 when we first met. I feel like me and you were outliers to Craig Winrow's group at the start.
Probably.
But now I feel like you and before our conversation there, you and Craig Winrow are like, you fit like a well-made puzzle now. But I think you went through a cycle to find yourself and find what works best for you.
Well, I think the way I look at it is that run in the end, running's running. Like, as long as you're working hard. And in the first lockdown, I was just making up sessions on the spot. Stuff like I was doing one of my favorite sessions to do now is 16K, where I'd run the first K at 3 minutes 2:55, and the second K at 3:30, and then do that. And I was just doing stuff like that. And while I was doing it, I was getting really fit, and I was just thinking, okay, there might be better sessions out there that would help me, but in terms of my mental, getting more mentally strong, like, this is amazing. And I went up for my first race at Bromley, and I soloed an 8:13 3K, and I was just like, and I put that down to not the sessions I dropped for myself. It was the sessions helped my mental state so much that when I went into that Bromley race, I just knew I'm going to win, because I've worked so goddamn hard.
Yep.
And mentally, the sessions I was doing were so challenging. I knew that people weren't going to be training as hard as me. And so in the end, like, it got to the point where, like, running's just running. As long as you're working hard and you're getting the miles in, then you're doing the right things.
Yeah. And have you always had this approach to your training? Have you always had this working on the mind as well as the body?
Always. Well, especially before you jump on this podcast, I was saying, and I fell into this bracket first university about tempo sessions, where you'd bang out the first, and so Craig would set like 6 mile tempo, and everyone would race off and run like 4:51 first mile, and then slowly get slower and slower and slower, right? And we definitely did it as well. I know we would have done it. We would run, like, hear the first guy, 4:44, yeah, mate, we're moving, and like 4:55, yeah, literally squeezing. And that's the whole point of a tempo is not that. It's about sustaining one speed or gradually building into it, like a hard but comfortable effort, right? And so I've learned from my experience, and so now with tempo sessions, like I said to you, I increase my tempo by a mile each week, and like I said, I go no faster than 5:20, 5:15s, and most people could keep up with me. And the same thing applies to steady runs now. Like, I've been on runs, and it dawned on me, and I want to hear your opinion on this as well. So, I'd say at the moment I'm in about 14 low. If I think on the right day, conditions good, I could break 14 minutes at the moment, like 13:56. I reckon I could run somewhere around there at the moment. Now, I went for a run a few weeks back with some mates. I won't name their names, and they've ran like 19-minute 5K for their personal best. And we're going around, 18 minutes, and we're going around averaging like 6:50s. But I knew in a session I could absolutely bury them. So what I'm trying to say is that on my steady runs now, I don't break 7:20s, because I'm just like, well, a 20-minute 5K guy can probably keep up, or so that's probably a bit too good. A 16-minute 5K guy could keep up with me for a long run on a Sunday. Yep. So what am I achieving running 6:40s when I'm not really recovering for my next session? I'm getting a bit of an aerobic stimulus, but it's the whole Nick Bordeaux thing where he spoke about the grey area. Yeah. So he was like, and you're nodding your head. So it's like, on easy days you go easy. They're purely for recovery. That's it. hard days you go hard. You're fresh on the easy days, you can go as hard as you want, and you're then getting 110% stimulant from what you're trying to achieve in the session. If you're going out if you're going out on your easy days running 6:30, 6:20 mile pace, where it's slightly uncomfortable at times, you don't want to admit it, but you're a little bit like, okay, I'm a bit heavy legged right now. You're not recovering then for the next hard session. You're in a state of fatigue. So like, what I want to ask you is like, do you kind of agree with what Nick Beddoe says? Because for me, it's like, it's almost switching the light bulb for me. I'm like, well, yeah, like, I don't care if you drop me out for an easy run because I'll come back and get you tomorrow.
Yeah. So if you asked the 2014 to 2018, 2014 to 2017, 2018 me, and I said, bullshit, and just I'm going harder, I'm going home. The days where we would go down and do a 4 mile or a 5 mile double at night after doing, a 6 mile tempo close to 30 minutes because we've knocked our pan in the Thursday. And then and then we also do a gym session. We went to Fitness First in Teddington. We do a gym session, and then we meet up for a double at night, and we'd be almost going down to low 6 minutes in our 5 mile. So, and that was just pure ego, insecurity, macho. Who's got the biggest dick? Fluffing your feathers in your chest. And sometimes you can get away with it. Sometimes you can, so you can see the exception to the rule. But more often than not, you don't. And now, I absolutely genuinely agree with everything that you said with the easy running. Like this morning I went out for 7 miles. That was my long run today, and my first mile was 7:48.
Love that. Mine's about 7:50 normally. Right.
And I'm just like, cash.
Is it not more enjoyable though? I think
yeah.
it's just the whole thing to like Kenyans do it. Like they do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, so what, and they're meant to be the best, country or continent, whatever, like when we call it in the goddamn world for like being distance runners. And then we're here, Europeans, trying to bust out a 550 mile first mile. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I think that. Right. I think when we were talking about before the podcast that Teddington can be a gift and a curse depending on how you look at it. Yeah. So, if you are running with some of the top level athletes, or there's some people going round bushy one way and there's some people going round bushy the other way, and you maybe can see that so and so is doing this or so and so is doing that, and some people are trying to outdo the other person, so they're now not in control of what they're doing. They're now not in their zone. They've allowed somebody externally to pull them out of their control. And I think that you do a great job of not allowing other people to pull you out your zone and pull you out your flow and pull you out your focus.
Like I said, you can only control your environment.
Yeah.
You can control your emotions. What people decide to do to affect you is completely down to them. How that does affect you comes down to how you do it.
Yeah.
And for me, and I think linking back to your podcast with Luke about Strava and stuff, that app is great, but it's also, it's the devil's whisperer in lots of ways. In terms of,
I like that hashtag, the devil's whisperer.
Yeah, I just thought that on the spot's quite good. But it kind of has that approach, because I remember you saying you see some people banging out some sessions and you're just like, what have I done today? And you're immediately comparing yourself. So yeah, I do have Strava and I'm considering getting rid of it after you on Luke's podcast. So I'm just a bit like, I don't need it.
Yeah,
I'm doing it to kind of just show people what I'm doing. And if I'm being completely honest, when I have a bad session, I'm like, should I upload that today? But I do it anyway. But I put a big comment on it and be like, yeah, I didn't want to run today because of this situation. But yes, I put it on yesterday about my back. Yeah, I made sure people knew I had a back problem. And for me, I went to bed last night after a couple of drinks. I was like, that's not what I'm trying to. It's not what I'm about. I'm not here for that. So I'm definitely considering to get rid of it. It's just not good.
Because mate, you don't need to explain yourself to anybody.
No, I don't. But that's what I find myself doing. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I'm falling into something that I'm a massive advocate to not do? You know what I mean? So yeah. So, but in terms of when it comes to when you see other people do big sessions and stuff, for me, it doesn't bother me. In the end, it's race days when it's happening, and like I said, with my training at the moment, not the way I do train, which is conserving, I say, a lot of energy. It's almost creating, and I do it with my own athletes. Is I want to create a caged animal sort of mentality.
Yeah.
So Chris Cook, who I coach moment, he's getting himself ready for a 5K in March, and he did his first tempo on Friday. And I said to him, leave your ego at the door. This session is not about you trying to smash it. Be disciplined, be controlled, do your 5 miles at the pace I set you. He finished it, did brilliantly, and he said he wanted to go. He wanted to just let loose. And I will literally keep him in that state of mind now for the next, I think we're doing about 10 weeks. I'm going to keep him in that state for about 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
And then on race day, off you go, mate.
Yeah.
And I think that can have a massive impact on an athlete's mentality. And so I apply the same principle to myself, where I'm just hold back, Trigwell, hold it back, wait to race day. Because then it leaves an element of surprise for you as well.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I've been holding back. I've done fantastic week after week of training. Now I can go and just see what I can do. And you're then excited about it. You're not feared about it. You're not getting anxious about it. You're just pure excitement. Like, oh, what can I do today?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but one of the best advocates of that sort of training and that sort of mindset before I even adopted it personally is Andy Vernon.
Okay.
Because I don't know, have you ever trained with Andy?
I did a few like longer runs, but it was when I was at university. But it's like a massive group of us, so I never really spoke to Andy on a one-to-one level.
Yeah.
Obviously, I remember him training with you a lot.
So you know that guy had ran. I think he won. So he won Peyton Jordan. He beat Hassan Mead. He beat. I can't even remember. He beat Hassan. There was these top Ben True. He smashed these guys in the last 400. And he ran 27:43 or 27:46. I can't remember what it was. Comes back the next week and we're doing 8 back K off a minute. And this is 8 back K off a minute, up that thingy trail, K up, K back.
That's him, mate. I know exactly what you're on about.
That's it. And he goes, and I say, what's the pace? I'm getting nervous now because he's ran 27:46.
What is that per mile? What is that? That's like, whoa.
Is that like 60? It's, well, you're broke 67s. So you're going about 420 mile pace.
Yeah. Just give some people some idea of how quick it is per mile.
Because 28 minutes is 14:14 for 5K.
Yeah.
So like 14 minutes and 14 minutes, no recovery. This guy goes and runs basically 13:50 back to back.
Unreal.
Right, so that's like 66 high.
Yeah.
Tuesday comes round, like about 10 days later, 8 back K, and I'm getting nervous. So I'm going, oh, we're probably going to be running like 2:45s today, 2:40, oh, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes. I went, what? I said, but I've run 29:16, so I need to run 2:50s at least. And he's going, Sean, pardon my French, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Crack. He said, it's not about today, it's not about tomorrow, it's not about this week, it's not about this month, it's about 6 months and a year. He said, and if you can just tick them off the box every day, every week. And I think that's how I got better back in 2015, 2014, having, like you said, you, him, Luke, Mickey Dowling around to keep the insecure Sean from going out and keeping doing more to try and. Then I moved to America and the insecurities just kept just grabbing me like the demons just kept unraveling and I couldn't keep them under control with the insecurity to wanting to do more, longer, faster, harder, proving myself. I feel like Vernon was one of if we go back to earlier, is like one of the best advocates of that training that you're now currently doing, and one that I was trying to do just back then before I get injured. And like that's life. You can still do everything right, and the world's going to throw you a curveball, and it's a tough pill to swallow. But you still got to dust yourself off, get back up, get back in the ring, and keep going those rounds. And like that Rocky Balboa saying when he says to his kid, going in one more round when you don't think you can makes all the difference for your life. Because there's been a few times this year I've sat down with my wife and I publicly said it on the podcast with Luke Allen last week, and I said it's been a few times this year where I think that's it. I think 2015 was my glory year.
The golden year.
I don't know if I'm just not doing I'm doing the right things at the wrong time, and I'm doing the wrong things at the time I'm supposed to be doing the right things, and I'm just getting it muddled up, and I'm getting confused. And but then I thought that I reset myself after that last big injury and doing everything right. But I've kind of I've handled this better as well though. Like I've been like, right, mate, like it happened before, so it can heal. So don't panic. It can heal. But that's what you've got to do. You've already got a blueprint from the last time you done it. So let's follow that and don't start building up too fast too soon. So like what I've been doing is like walking and running. So what I do is my first session was walk for a minute, run for a minute, walk for a minute, run for a minute. And I thought I was too good for that shit. I was like, no way am I going to be out there in public walking and running. Like, I'm a runner. I don't walk. Because marathon sessions, you do like the 16K in, out, in, out, in, out. So if ever, whatever I'm doing, I'm easy jogging. I'm never walking, I'm easy. So that ego was starting to build up in my way. And I said, you know what? Definition of insanity is doing the same old thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I went out and I done the walk jog, and I came back in the house. There was no pain. It was only 16 minutes, 8 minutes of running, 8 minutes of walking. And like it was, I could have maybe went out there and done 30 minutes of that. But that caged animal mentality, just a latch on it, was like, stopped to watch and went, chill.
That's I don't think the audience understand what a massive thing that is for you to do as well.
No,
John Fontana to stop, that's a success, and that's a gold medal worthy in itself.
Yeah, so I'm trying my best to change these really bad toxic habits, these demons, and I don't know if you have them as well, but every single day I do need to say to a bit of my brain, go like, Sean, shut the fuck up, like shut up, like. It might be a side where, you could have maybe went to an hour today though. You've done 50 minutes, but you could have maybe went an hour. What about people that are old? And I go, Sean, that's it. Chill.
Are you comparing yourself to other people though? You're always thinking, well, he might have done this today. She might have did this. Like are you thinking about what you can control in that moment, or is it just searching for that? I could have done more today. I feel like I think you just have a mindset, Sean, where you're always looking for that next level. It's like when you ran 29:16, I guarantee the next day I guarantee, and correct me if I'm wrong, within a couple of days after that race, you would have said to yourself, I did that, I could have broken 29 minutes.
Yeah.
Something like that. I guarantee you would have thought like that. I should have broke 29 minutes that day, not 29:16. You can't be, I don't know what it is, and I'm not here to I'm not having a pop at you, but I just feel like you just can't seem to be happy, and I get it as well. Like I get it, I get it's where I finish a session and I'll talk to my dad. And my dad would be, and my dad's probably not the best person to talk to. My dad's always like, yeah, I was alright. What's next? So he's quite like you in that way. But then I'll call my mum after the race. She'd be like, I'm real. Like enjoy it. Go for a few beers. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I should go for a few beers tonight. But I feel like you're like just. I mean, you could run a gold medal and you'll still like think, I should have done that better. I could have won it in a better way. I think you just have that mindset. And I don't think you can change that mindset. I think you just got to learn to deal with it and just put it to the best use possible. I think that I could be totally wrong. I'm not a trained psychologist. I could be saying absolute nonsense to you right now, but that's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do agree with that. Like the next day, I woke up because it was on the Saturday. It was on the Saturday night. We drove down to Southampton to see Caroline's mum and dad that night. And the next morning, Jeff says to me, go out and just do 70 minutes easy to recover. And I went and done 17 miles because I wanted to, like, wasn't it, 17 miles, and I ran it at like 6:10, 6:05, buzzing. I was like, I'm floating here. And then, it slowly just, it's you don't see it at that time in that day, but it's starting, the snowball's starting to come down, and it's not a good one. It's going to hit you, and it's going to hit you hard.
Steve Magnus, the author, Steve Magnus.
Yeah.
He says that when you run a personal best, that's when you should be pulling back. You shouldn't be looking for more. You should be pulling back in your training slightly and resting up almost. That's not the time to be pushing more, because your body's right on that line of just, it can break if you're not careful. It could do wonders for you, but at the same time, it can break very quickly at the moment. So,
But
yeah,
the thing is when I coach my athletes, I
yeah,
give them that advice.
you don't give it to yourself. I do the exact same thing. Yes. Yeah, mate. I know exactly what you're on about. Sometimes I'll call my mum up and be like, yeah, so I said this to them. Mum goes, yeah, you should do that to yourself sometimes. Like, you never do it. You don't listen to your own advice. I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know where, I don't know why, I don't know what that is. But I know I hear you on that so much. Yeah.
And is it because we? I mean, do you feel in terms of where you are right now? Do you feel that that's talent, hard work, both, just hard work in your
What,
athletics career?
where I'm at currently at the moment with my
Yeah,
fitness achievements and stuff.
yeah.
Uh,
Like so, where would you say that is from you as starting as a young boy in athletics, moving through the ranks? Do you feel that people told you were talented when you were a kid, or did you feel you worked hard as a kid? Nobody said you were talented. Is it a bit of both? What would you? Because I'll probably the reason why I am the way I am is because people have told me that I was never going to be any better than a district level athlete.
yeah.
So
Look,
like
look what
you
you want
are,
to.
yeah, like what my first coach told me when I got out the bus from training before we went to it was national cross country relays for the school of sport. And
Yeah.
he stopped me and I was buzzing because I trained so well. I get my first pair of spikes ever because I used to wear a Rangers football strip to training and I used to hate it because I didn't know what athletics was because I was, I played football. And he went, Sean, just like, mate, like, you, you might do okay today, right? But don't get too down if you don't perform well at all. Like if you don't do well at all, if you don't help the team win, or and I just it broke me. And then we had some run-ins together, and I went to move to the other coach in the school of sport, and he was quite elitist. He only coached the top guys, and I had to keep begging for him to train me
Mm,
because I wanted. And he's like, and they would joke about me. They go, he's not good enough. He's shite. He's
mm,
shite. Like look at him running. He's like leaned over. He looks as if he's going to fall over every time he runs. He's
mm,
shit.
mm.
So maybe the reason I think the way I think is because I rest purely on the fact that I get everywhere through like literally relentless hard work. So if I do run easy, then maybe I've missed the opportunity to
Yeah.
better my fitness to get back to where I once. So maybe that's what's I need to unravel those sort of
Mhm.
past experiences. But what about yourself? Like is it talent, hard work, combination of both?
Uh, look, yeah, like kind of blue collar mentality, isn't it? For me personally, like, I grew up in a very much working class background, which I'm very proud of,
Yeah,
and I think that shows in my work ethic in athletics. I think what for me, like, I honestly don't care what people run or do in terms of age or time wise. If you go and run 28, 30 for a 10K, I'm going to be over the moon for you. But it's not going to change how I feel about myself. All I care about is I keep repeating this. All I can control is my environment. And that's all I care about, essentially. I'm going to be so happy for you and so proud for you. But they're going to be like, right, get to work, Trigwell. What we're going to do now to, like, not beat you, but get to that same level as well.
yeah,
And that was, for me, I think it's always been a bit of a chip on my shoulder. I think it's never been a case of trying to please other people. It's never been a case of trying to want to impress other people. For me, never really had that sort of that sort of competitive edge. I'm a very competitive person within myself. I think for me, like, it's that whole making sure I've got everything out of my body. Like, just making sure I can finish my athletics career and say, you know what, I reached my limitation there. I reached what I could do physically and mentally. If that's a 29 flat 10K, if it's going to Olympics, I've reached what I could do.
yeah,
And that I can go to bed at night when I'm 40 years of age and be content and hopefully wake up in the morning, go to the bathroom and see the Olympic rings tattooed on my body somewhere.
yeah,
That's the ultimate goal.
yeah.
But for me, Sean, yeah, it's a case of,
But in terms, is that from talent, hard work, or a combination of both? As in, from your when you started athletics?
Yeah, I mean, in my footballing career, I was always up and down the pitch like a yo-yo. So I think I've always had that natural engine to kind of just be able to push myself very hard in terms of combining both. So yeah, I think that hit the nail on the head there in terms of it comes with talent and hard work. Um, yeah, that answers your question, mate. There, really,
Yeah,
just it's a combination of both. I think in lots of ways,
yeah,
which I'm lucky. I'm very lucky to have the talent. I don't think I've came close to entering all of it yet. I think in the past I've allowed external factors in my life get in the way,
yeah,
which my first coach said would happen to me so I first started running when I was about 16, and he said to me, "You'll go to university and you'll get distracted by other things,"
yeah,
and I said, "No, I won't," and it did. So I've made some mistakes that I don't regret at all because I've learned from experiences, and I've learned that, and I've done those experiences, and I know now I'm content with them. I don't
yeah,
have to do them ever again. And so, like I said to you earlier, I'm in a place now at 27 where I've done things that maybe, yeah, could have, I could be in a high running class at the moment if I didn't do those things. But I'm grateful because I know that that's not better. That's not a better thing to be doing right now. Like running is where I want to be hitting. Working on my business is what I want to be trying to promote more and help people more.
mm-hmm.
And for that, like, I'm just in a really good place at the moment. So, yeah.
And what would you say at this moment in time would be your greatest achievements in your sport just now?
7-time national finalist, over 1,503K. That's a big achievement. Um, I've done a lot of things. I think when you compare, the only problem is that, and I know you do, you compare yourself to the Butcharts, to the Vernons, and maybe Mo's a bit too far out of reach, but because what he's done is incredible. But in terms of the Vernons, the Butcharts, and O'Hare's, and Whiteman, and Grice, you're comparing yourself to them, and you look at yourself sometimes as a bit of a failure. But then you look at back what I've achieved. So at the age of 27, I've gone on to achieve 8-time county champion, 4-time regional champion, 4-time under 23 European trials finalist, 7-time national finalist, made money in the sport. Like, goddamn, that's a good career so far. And I've yet to, I think, tap into my best years yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me now, it's almost like I'm giving myself another 5 years in sport, then I'm going to cut it.
Right.
So, hopefully if the Olympics go next year, I guess the next Olympics will be 2024. So I'm
LA,
giving myself, sorry?
LA,
Yeah, so
LA.
hopefully, another 4 year cycle, then I think then I'll call it quits and just be like, all right, I've give myself 4 years to this game, empty the tank as much as I can. I will then be 31, 32, and I think I'll be like quite content. If I go to the Olympics, then I'll be like, all right, done. Like if I went to the Olympics next year, I think I'd probably call it a day there. In
Right.
lots of ways, I don't need to. For me, that's like pulling the biggest goal, external goal, is to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Once to do that, Sean, I'm done. I don't need to. For me, that I can walk away from the sport very content. And people might say, "Oh, but you're only 20 years of age. You've got more to give." But I don't care what you think. For me, that was my goal,
Yeah.
and I live with that. If I finish my career as a 28, 50 man, but had the potential to run sub 28, but I've gone to the Olympics, I don't care. Like, I've done it. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna go to the next chapter of my life now, which is away from running. Can
Yeah.
I see myself in 15 years running still, like as a lifestyle? Absolutely not. Probably not. But will I be working on myself in other areas with my mental health and going to the gym, stuff like that, and just experiencing life? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And running taught me so much about myself in that process. Like, I'm so thankful I came into the sport
Yeah.
because I've gone to levels in my mental head
Yeah.
that I don't think any other sport you can get into. Like, when your body's just fully bagged up with lactic acid, and then you tell yourself to dig deeper. Like,
Yeah.
when you do the 1K, 800, 600, 400, 200, when you're meant to blast every single repetition as hard as you can, and you get like 4 minutes recovery in between, and then for the last 20 meters, your body is just in complete lactic. Your head's lactic, you're seeing stars, you've been on the floor, you might have been sick a couple of times, and your coach goes, all right, go one more time. Like, what other sport can you get that same stimulus? I don't. Like, I don't particularly know that, and that's what I've learned so much. And living in Teddington, men and women, there are a lot of us, and seeing people be able to push themselves
Mm-hmm.
to that degree on a daily basis is just, you respect them so much. Like,
Yeah. Of course. And I think that you made a valid point there with, and this is where I think this is what I was wanting to get in really deep with you as well, was how athletics, the sport that we love, that sometimes doesn't love us back, but we still show it so much of ourselves every day. We pour so much of ourselves into it each and every day, no matter if it loves us or it doesn't, because we love it. About how this sport, using this as a vehicle for life, like where when me and you both hang up those spikes and we call it a day, you know, we've emptied the tank, we've rinsed the towel of every morsel of blood, sweat and tears, and we hang it up. But the lessons from this sport that we can take, even that we take right now as we build our business, and we understand that, you know, there's going to be days where you wake up on a Sunday morning to go and do a 22-mile run in the pissing rain and blowing gale, and it could be you, but you suit up, you zip that jacket up, you put them shoes on, and you get out and you crack on anyway. The discipline to do, to act, to execute, even when the fucking odds are stacked against you. And doing that in business, doing that in life, like this is something that, you know, and I like the fact, I actually love the fact that you know, like giving yourself a time or whatever you achieve and being happy also with the career that you've had so far. Because of everything it's taught you to this point. Not thinking that you need to then, you know, you don't learn anything until you close the door on it and then you start using it when you're finished. You're using it right now in the process of building a life outside of athletics, and I think that that's extremely healthy, and extremely noble and positive. And it's just a thing where athletics and sport. That's why I do this stuff with Achieve More Scotland, the charity with the disadvantaged kids.
I noticed that.
We use sport and we use, you know, when you're tired or when you don't feel like it, or doing another push-up when you think your arms are tired, but you do another one and you can see that just because you might be really, really tired and you think you can't do any more, that you can do another one, that you can push yourself that wee bit further. And like you were saying, when you're in that pain, when you might be going through a bad spell and you're running, you may have had a bad race, and you know you're lying in bed and you're going. It's the same way as if you have a bad day at work. And you're like, oh, that was shite, and I just want to quit this work. It's like, no, like you've got to take the rough with the smooth. That's entitlement. If you think that you're going to wake up and every day is going to be a great day, that's pure.
What's the first after a bad race? The first thing I always do: get up the next day early as I possibly can, knock out 10 miles. Just like get back on that horse straight away. Don't even think about anything else. Just do 10 miles safe, and after that.
And I love and hate this sport so much because of the hard lessons that you learn, and it's raw, it's powerful, it's a roller coaster that, you know. But I feel like if you can learn from the trials and tribulation, the highs and the lows within this sport, and the discipline that it takes to be the best version of yourself, you can take it out into the business world. You can take it out into the life world, and be so successful.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you there at all. You hit the nail on the head there completely. I find that when I'm approached by things non-running related that, you know, could be quite stressful, I'm just not phased at all. I'm just like, okay, like, had worse scenarios here in running. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've had to go through 16-mile runs when I'm at 10 miles in. I'm just like absolutely done and dusted. And what do? Just keep goddamn going. Like, you know, or in a race situation, having a bad race and you've got another 3 or 4 miles to go. What do? You don't stop. You just keep going. I mean, and I'm not. And it's cool. And it's a quick conversation on this one about, you know, when people drop out of races. Now, if there's a listener who has dropped out of a race, I'm not judging you at all. But I say to my lot, if you're having a bad day at a race situation, you know, you're way off your pace. You've got people going past you who you may notice and you've beaten them before and they're just looking as smooth as possible going by you. Do not goddamn stop. You use that experience now to be present with your emotions, be present with the pain you're in, but most importantly, what in God's name is your mind telling you to do, which is stop. So you spend the rest of that race just having a battle, having a war of your mind, you know? I pulled out a couple of races when I was younger, and I've had a bad few races, not recently, but in terms of, I'd say last year. And did I stop? Absolutely not, because I knew I would learn more from this experience now than I ever will if I. It's so easy to go out and win a race. It's the easiest thing in the world. When you feel great in the second place, you make that kick, easy day.
Yeah.
When you're in fifth place and you're on the wall of lactic acid and you've got that build-up of stress in your body, that fear of maybe others judging you because you're having a bad day at the office and people are, what people are going to think about me, which for me now, I don't even think about that. But in terms of the stress that can happen, the anxiety that can build up in your head, and the constant, just drop out. You know what I mean? Just like, it's not worth it today. It's not happening. Don't goddamn stop. Keep going forward, because you'll learn so much from that experience.
Yeah.
Post race, you feel, I'm gonna swear, you feel shit. You want to give up. You feel gutted. You put all this hard work in, but you haven't got reward. Be with those emotions. Like, be with them, absorb them, and then just see how it feels in a few days' time. And then you come back into a race situation, re-pumped up, ready to go again, but no blocker training. You've learned from that experience because you didn't stop, you didn't give up, you got through it. It's made you stronger mentally. So you go into this race now saying, I dealt with that situation, didn't stop. I kept going. So if I feel better today, which you will, bam, there you go. Success is right there in front of you.
Yeah.
So that's what I say to my lot, and I say to myself all the time.
Yeah.
Same with sessions. If you're in pain, physical pain, there's an injury, stop. Do stop. But if it's just having a bad day at the office, things aren't going well, just keep goddamn grinding that out. Like, don't stop. Like, you know what I mean? You learn way more from experiences, I think, than a race where you, for example, at Highgate, you ran 29:16, best day of your life or best day in your running life, but probably the easiest race in your life. When I ran 3:45, when I broke 30 minutes for 10K for the first time, when I ran 3:45 for the 1500 meters, easiest race I've ever done in my life. Easy. When I broke 8:10 for 3K indoor, easiest race I've done in my life. When I've had bad days, when I ran like 8:23, hardest days of my life. Like, physical pain was unbelievable. Lactic from lap 1.
Yeah.
When I ran 8 or 9, no lactic till about 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
So like, you've got to take so much experience from those bad races and use it to your advantage for future ones.
Yeah, I like that. And be stronger than the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So
no, it's that mindset. I hope listeners really take note of, because it is, like you said, it's very, very easy to do all the right things and think positively and keep rolling forwards when everything's going in your favour. But it is extremely difficult to still keep thinking rationally and logically when there's the bullets are flying in your head, like they're screaming at you to stop or get off, or what, or if we do think externally, because sometimes people might think externally and it's like, oh, but this time will go on the power of 10 and all these sort of stupid things some people think. But if you can go through those hard times and you're hopefully, and again, this me might be linking back to my experiences, is hopefully when the good times come, oh boy, they taste sweet. Like, that is a
right there though. Don't say they might come; they will come.
Yeah.
Like, don't say they might. Like, don't get out of your head right now. You got to say they will happen.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say that, Sean. If you have that mentality, and I know you shouldn't say it, but like, no, you say I will achieve those times again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, see, last year at the Great Scottish Run Half Marathon, I ran my first personal best that I've ever, so I've not personal best in the 15, the 3K, the 5K, or the 10K, and now it'll be 5 years. But I got my first personal best in the half marathon last year, and Vernon was there. He had food poisoning from the night before, so he wasn't doing it. And thank God he never, because I was in the last place that could pick up some money. So I was like, yes! I was like, but if Vernon was there, I'd have been the first one to not earn any money. So, and he was sitting in the tent, and I think he was like congratulating Tomo because he won it. And he came over and he's like, oh, how you doing and all that. I was like, oh, bright, man. And he's like, how'd you get on? And I think 66:11, I think. And literally I said it, and tears just started. I was like, fuck, I was like, I've had 4 years of just
Wow.
sheer, couldn't even break like 32 minutes for 10k in America at some points, couldn't break 15 minutes for 5k in America at some points, and I just broke down in front of him, and he gave me a hug and stuff like that, and I was just like, but those moments when you finally break through again, it you know it's worth it. You know the dark days and the hard days, and sometimes that dark cloud that's feels like it keeps following you around. You're trying to get away from it. You're running away from it. No pun intended. But eventually, you set yourself free, and you come out the other end. But it's like that. Don't pull the plug. Please do not pull the plug too early in a race. And you also don't know what can. I mean, ultimately, sometimes we do know what's going to happen. We're not going to get any faster because we do feel like dog shit. But we don't. Sometimes we don't know what's going to happen. Like if we're sitting in fourth and we're breaking away from the medals or whatever it may. We don't know if that guy's going to pull up with a hamstring injury, if he's going to trip up, if he's going to just blow up and you finally get him. More often than not, it doesn't happen. But sometimes, if you just hang in there, it bloody well could.
Yeah, I know.
And that's why. And again, like I say, I don't know. I don't know if you've had these feelings like I've had with the whole the injuries and the sort of heartaches and stuff. Sometimes like you're thinking it's maybe just one too many, and putting I'm putting my wife through it and things like that through, in my business as well. Like sometimes I'll say no to business because I want to maybe train at that time. So when a client wants to book in it, but I'm going to block that time off for me, for myself, take care of myself while I take care of others. And you do all these sacrifices. Well, I wouldn't say sacrifices, but you make that commitment to yourself to be better. And year after year, for a while, it's you just keep getting a wee boom. And when I said that, sometimes it might be one's too many, and I want to maybe that's enough's enough. If I look back in my career and go, America, Highgate, 5k, whatever it is, and be like, I'm good, but I can't. Even though sometimes I do feel that way, I can't walk away from this because fundamentally, if we take it all back to the bare bones, and you know this as well, if we take this, when people come to you, your clients come to you, if they've had a bad day, a bad training session, a bad race, a bad virtual challenge, whatever it may be, oh, maybe I'm just not built for this, or maybe I'm not for the 5k, or maybe I'm not for the 3, or whatever, and you go, don't give up, because ultimately you're doing this because you love this game, and sometimes it's not going to love you back. But if you just the reason we're doing this is because we love it, isn't it? Like we do this because we love the feeling of having a great session where we're flowing and that we're consistent and that we are every day we're growing as an individual. This is self-development for us. This is a journey that we're on, that we're just this path has never been made for you, never been made for me. This is the first time we're on this path. So every day is a new experience, every week, every month, and you're creating.
I think the honesty comes a bit as well, though. In running, it's always going to be honest with you. It's gonna chew you up, spit back out sometimes, and it's gonna be like, how are you gonna cope? How are you gonna cope, mate? And it's like, okay, I see how it's gonna be today. Yeah. So yeah, I know the thing. It's always like getting ready for a fight.
Right.
Every day that what to expect, how the weather's going to be, or just how you're going to feel generally, and it's okay. I don't feel best prepared mentally right now, but I'm in for a long one.
Yeah.
And I think that, and again, for your listeners and your athletes, if they can take that on board to be like every day is sometimes a fight, then the amount of, I think, the subconscious learning that's going on while you're battling through each step, each mile, each minute, it's just like you said, that growth mindset. And it's helping that individual that I don't think they even realize it, and that they'll go into other experiences away from running, and they'll be able to push harder and be able to just challenge themselves more. And I think as a coach, I don't know if you agree with me, it's like being a running coach is I'd say, I mean, it's an incredible feeling when your clients run a personal best and they feel. But for me, it's when they message me saying I feel great.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm only 1% of that, but I've guided that person to feeling that great. Then that has an effect on their partner or their parents' mental health, and then you create like this domino effect of just people feeling better for it. And so it kind of falls back onto like Luke's sort of job, where we are like life coaches, but we do it through the use of our knowledge, experience, and running. You know what I mean? So I think this is a wonderful thing. But yeah, like running is on a daily basis a fight, and it's how you're going to do it. And yeah, there are days you don't want to run. And what I say to my lot and to myself is keep it easy today. Then keep it easy, keep it gentle, but just win the battle. You know, you are going to lose some battles, but just make sure you win the war.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Is there anything, before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to, share to, through your experience as an athlete? It might have ended in that note there of, you may win the battle, but win the war. Is there anything that you feel that you want to share with our listeners today on the sort of Christmas special podcast to share with them to help them through these sort of tough times that anybody's going through just now?
Yeah, I think if you are with Sean, you're in excellent hands. And I think if you listen to this podcast, I think and you're having a bit of a difficult time at the moment, take a moment, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, and find something to look forward to. If it's in a running sense, put together yourself a little program. So put a time trial at the start of the week, and then give yourself 3 weeks of training, and then try to beat that time. Create yourself routines. It's going to be absolutely key for this third lockdown. I think you can add in if you want to, but for me that's going to be key. Like, it's sticking to regimented times. So for me, over this Christmas break, including Christmas Day at 9:30 a.m, I'll be at the door running, and then doing all my S&C stuff and making sure my recovery and just keeping in contact with lots of people. But I think on the whole, it's just making sure that structure is in place and being enormously, enormously kind to yourself. This is not the time to be hard on yourself at the moment. If you're being hard on yourself, you need to strip that right back. This is a very odd feeling for a lot of people and very odd times for a lot of people. And I don't want to get into that too much because I'm not a qualified person. You get all the politicians, I say that funny things, who can give you some good advice. But from my own personal experience and, for me right now, it's structure, being kind to yourself, and just do not give 10 out of 10 every single day at the moment. Give yourself, give that 7 out of 10 effort where you always got a little bit more to give, and you're finishing your workouts, or you're finishing whatever you are doing, thinking you could do a little bit more. I think that's really important, and that's what I do in my training at the moment. I'm always finishing my sessions, my runs, knowing consciously I could have done a bit more today.
Yeah.
And I feel good about that. So that takes me into that momentum of tomorrow morning when I get up, I can do the same process and I'm hungry for it. Yeah. And I know you're definitely doing that in your training now, Sean. And I think for you, Sean, personally, I still honestly believe your best years are ahead of you. And I completely agree about it. Yeah, and it's true. I think it really, really is. I think you just got to be enormously careful, really, and just take care of that head. That I'm here for you, Luke's here for you. There's loads of people who are there for you, mate. You just got to just be completely aware of what you're thinking and realize this is ego and insecure Sean talking. It's not me talking.
Yeah.
And I think with that, mate, and being smart in your miles, being smart in your training, you've got a lot to offer. I mean, you've done so much incredible stuff already in running and away from running, but there is so much more for you to give in the running world. I don't think you realize it yet. And if you're conscious about your age because of those college athletes who've got big egos, screw them. Think about yourself, mate. 30 years of age is young, especially in the running world. And look at those who are still running now, well into their 30s and competing at a high level still. That could be you, mate, within 2 or 3 years. All you need is 18 months of consistent running and you'll be flying again. Guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. A couple of personal bests here and there in your distance, 10 mile, maybe just do a 10 miler, something like that, completely way off what you normally do. Yeah. So you're not chasing the time, you're just setting the time out and getting a PR for it, getting that momentum, getting that free flowing again. Bang, you're on your way, mate. Guarantee it, mate. Guarantee it.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here and sharing your journey, your story as an athlete, as a coach. Where can people find you? And I'll also put these links in the description below. Your personal, your business, Instagram, Facebook. What sort of where can we find you?
Just Instagram. I keep it as simple. So it's at JRT Run Coach. I can use that platform. I don't want to put myself out there too much, but yeah, just on Instagram for now. Yeah, mate. That's it, really.
Brilliant. And I hope, that's again a Christmas podcast. Hope you have a Merry Christmas.
You too,
And if I
mate.
don't
You
speak to
too.
you before New Year, have a happy New Year.
Sounds good, man.
And for all the listeners as well, like Josh was saying, is keep that routine, keep that structure. If on Christmas Day, on New Year's Day, you want to pig out with some food and have a wee glass of wine or a wee bottle of beer, still go out there and get the miles in, so then it doesn't affect you as much, so you don't put the Santa pounds on.
Every pint got to do 2 miler. That's what I'd say.
That's it. So it's having that is it looks like Josh you have is a lovely balance between working hard but also understanding that with hard work you can still, let your hair down, your luscious long locks, as they would say, let them down, and just put your feet up, and sometimes have a wee cerveza, or for me it would be a wee squash, a wee diluting juice. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure. I think again another golden episode. Yourself, Luke, you guys are just, I was saying to him yesterday about this sort of emotional currency in the environment you're in. And I genuinely feel that you give that positive currency, lift the bank balance. And I think you're going to do that with all these listeners as well, mate. So thank you so much for your time.
You do, mate. I feel absolutely buzzed right now. So, you know what I mean? It's good. I hope the listeners feel the same way as well. That's most important.
Smashing. Thank you very much.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Yes.